welcome to Midnight Slumber. I am your host, Zach Miller. Join me as we take a journey through the alternate realities that take place after midnight. This week, our story is about a family that takes an unexpected journey. Their host is a strange one and is trying to be kind to them. Enjoy as you and our family try to figure out what's going on in the story, Death's Game. The air is nice. A cool breeze blows through our open chariot. The gold curtains that are drawn back gently sway back and forth with each bump in the road. The forest we are traveling through is dense, but has been passed through enough that the moon can shine easily on this late night. The horses are tired, but willing to keep going as we get close to our destination for the night. The driver of our chariot whistles to check in on us, to see if we are okay. "Do any of you need anything?" The four of us that are in here are fine, and the woman, our hostess, smiles, and with a delightful and elegant voice says,
"Thank you, darling, but we are wonderful. Do let us know when we have arrived."
Our hostess, who is sitting across from me, is dressed in a very expensive and elegant dress made of white and black diamonds. They sparkle, even inside this chariot. The chariot is lit by nothing more than a few candles that dangle from the ceiling like a chandelier, and the moonlight that is just barely leaking in. Her face is sharp and pale, as if sculpted out of clay. Her lips are crimson like the setting sun, and her eyes are piercing, letting us know that her kindness is backed up by a viciousness, ready to strike and kill with the slightest sense of disrespect. My wife sits next to me, which she is in a beautiful blue dress. Our hostess smiles at her as she admires this blue dress she gave to my wife as a gift. She asks my wife,
"How do you like it?"
My wife smiles and responds,
"It's wonderful. I can't wait to show it off to everyone."
My brother, who sits across from us and next to our hostess, rolls his eyes as he can't wait to leave since he is her date. My brother is dressed in a tux that matches our hostess, but he only has black and white diamonds in his tie, as he cannot outshine her or he would be considered disrespectful. We hit a bump in the road and my wife squeezes my hand tightly as she can't wait to reach our hotel destination. The road has changed as it is a smoother ride, still bumpy but much less so. The driver shouts back at us, "We have arrived, my lady." We peer out and see a tiny town up on the hill. The wooden home with the thatched roofing looks closed and empty as the lights inside are off. But a small lamppost outside near the road lights up the walkway to the building. We go up the hill and pull next to the cottage we are supposed to stay at for the night. I pray that this is not our destination. It is run down, spider webs line the outside, the roof is caving in, and more than a few rotted beams of wood are on the outside. The only thing redeemable, other than that the building is still standing, is that the wooden fence along the road looks normal. We come to a stop, and the driver opens the door to my right. The driver is a portly fellow who looks to have met Death and befriended him many years ago. My wife takes his hand as he helps her step out of the chariot and onto the cobblestone road. I follow suit, and as I take his hand, an immediate chill runs through my veins. His hand is colder than ice, and his fingers are long and thin like a spider's legs. Yet, even with his sharp fingers, he grips our hands gently like a friend trying not to harm us. My brother is given a kiss on the cheek before he is allowed to step out of the chariot. As he does, he politely refuses the assistance of the driver. When he hops off, stepping down onto the cobblestone, he stands tall and straightens his suit. The driver shuts the door and climbs back onto his finely crafted gold seat. The chariot we have been riding in is platinum and shines brilliantly in the moon's light. Our hostess looks at us one last time through her window. Her eyes glow with a golden hue, letting us see her kindness and fury one last time before she waves bye to us as the elegant and rich chariot rolls away. I take note of the horses that were pulling us. They are fast, so I only get a brief look at them. But I can swear that I could see the moon's light shining right through them. After that, the chariot, horses, everything seemed to disappear and fade into the woods. The woods are a whole other set of weird. Even though the moonlight is a usual light blue, the trees in the woods ahead are a sickly green with a purple fog that glows deep into them. My brother shouts, causing me to snap back to what we were doing. "Hey, let's get inside before the rain comes." I turn and see them at the wooden door that is barely holding on by the rusted hinges. Before I go in, I look at the town around us. There are 3 other buildings around which surround an open town square filled with dirt and broken carts that used to be used for work. There is a tall brick silo off to my right that still stands strong. Across from that is a wooden overhang that houses bales of hay and a completely rusted tractor. The last building is another home that was also a medicine shop, as the damaged sign outside says something about tonics. That building is nothing more than the front bricks, as the mountain behind it must have collapsed since the rest of the building is buried and swallowed in the dirt. I step into this rotted place that is supposed to be our hotel for the night and see an old chandelier made of deer and moose horns hanging from the ceiling. The candles in it are still lit, but they are at the end of their wick and may only last 1 more hour before they go out entirely. The wooden floors creak as we walk across them. My brother and wife are spread out in the opening of this main room. They are looking all around with disgust on both their faces. The walls are not very tall, just barely a foot above our heads. Cobwebs and dust cover just about everything. The reception desk is off to my right, just as you enter, which I find a little weird as I can see behind the desk as I enter. There are books and magazines that are covered in dust and falling apart. A small brass bell sits on the desk and shines in the light. Even with the cobwebs that have formed over it, it still shines. The bell seems to draw me in. As I step forward towards the bell, I can feel a small voice in the back of my head tell me not to ring it, but I do. I ignore the voice in my head and just barely tap it. The bell chimes loud, echoing through the silence in the building. My wife and brother stop in their tracks and look over at me, surprised by the sound. We laugh a little until we hear footsteps coming from above us. The footsteps are slow, but coming our way. We walk over to the crumbling staircase, wondering how anyone can make their way down other than jumping. The railing to the floor above us is gone and missing. A big window, which the moon is shining through, lights us up with its nightly rays. The floor continues to creak above us until a door slowly opens. The floor is also slanted in our direction, and the roof above is broken and open. A glowing light blue hand reaches forward, and a man floats along. Terror strikes my face as the moon can be seen through his body. The man is a ghost. His face is long and rough. The ghostly hat on his head is tall and tattered. His clothes are from an era from a long time ago. They are lovely and regal, but very worn like this building. Before any of us can run, the man speaks. "Please, don't run. I want to help." We all take a step back, but pause as he floats down to our level. "You are living?" he says with surprise. "If you want to get back to your world, you will need to find the exit that goes up. I know you must travel through the purple woods ahead and look for the path to the mountain." My brother asks if there's anything more specific that we need to look for, but the man shakes his head and says,
I'm sorry, but I'm bound to this home, so I only know what is said by those who pass through. Be careful, as the creatures in the woods can be quite dangerous. Do find the pink blob, though, as it can help you pass safely through there.
With that, he hands us 2 ghost lamps. He mentions how their blue light mimics that of the moon, and will draw less attention to us, but still allow us to see where we are going. We thank him for his kindness, and he jokingly says we can thank him by leaving this place. The door shuts behind us, and we pause as we stare deep into the woods. Then, we raise the 2 lamps high and slowly make our way into the green forest. The purple fog dissipates about 10 feet around us as our lights cut through the fog with ease. The forest is alive with sounds, but none of them are familiar. As we quietly travel, we see creatures off in the distance that don't live in our world. A group of mushrooms run by us chanting, and a long, rock-bodied millipede chases them. We keep our space as the millipede is longer and bigger than a stretch limo. It could easily choose to pursue us as food since we are the same size as those mushroom creatures. The sound of something big is heading our way. We duck behind a massive tree and hear a monstrous roar off in the distance. I peer around the corner, and even in this thick fog, I can make out the glowing eyes coming from a gigantic creature. It's so bright that I can see it's way out at sea and can walk through the water with its 4 massive legs. Whether or not it spotted us, the monster is too far away to reach us. But before we continue, a pink gelatinous material shines in the tree above us. It is shaped like a mushroom growing on this tree, but our light reveals its true form. This is the creature our guide was talking about. I reach up and grab it. The creature falls, laughing as if I had just tickled it. The creature immediately transforms into me and mimics my every move, except for speech. I ask it to protect us until we leave the forest. I tell it that we need to find the mountain exit. The creature, or I, stare at us for a moment, tilting my head and examining the lights we carry. The pink version of me shoots out its arms and grabs all of us, pulling us together as it transforms into a big, metal-looking golem. We stomp through the woods at an enormously fast pace, and I am shocked at how quickly the creature brings us out of the woods and to the mountain's exit. There is an exit sign next to the mountain. We are gently placed down onto the concrete ground. We all look at each other out of surprise and turn to face the pink creature, which has turned into some floating jellyfish. It waves its tentacles at us and then floats off back into the woods. We turn to face the exit and realize we will have to climb up a few concrete blocks the size of cars before seeing what is beyond them. We jump from block to block and have to pull each other up. Some of them are too high for us to climb alone. As we reach the final block, we stand and take in the strangeness in front of us. An extremely tall, vertical concrete wall shoots high into the clouds. Way up on this vertical wall is an LED sign that shines, but it's hard to read from this distance. So, my brother hops down and walks towards the hallway that is straight ahead. It's a long walk down and across this flat floor before he reaches the hall. An orange light glows at the end of it, and as he steps into the room, he says it looks like a massive maze is just around the corner. My wife goes right, heading towards the doorway next to the vertical wall. A yellow light emits from inside this large doorway. She peers in and says that it looks like it leads into a maze as well. My brother has walked back towards me by this point, but has stopped at a glass wall that is off to my left. I hop down into the room where all this is and make my way over. Behind this glass wall are tons of random items, each with a corresponding number next to them. One is an inflatable boat with the number 10,000. Another is what looks like a fancy Nerf gun for 50,000. This goes on as there must be at least 20 or 30 items on the wall behind this thick glass. There is one item that says free next to it. A keypad sits hip level just in front of the glass. I type in the corresponding letters to it, and the item is brought forward and placed into a reddish-orange metal container. Next to the window is a giant reddish-orange metal wall. The wall swings open and reveals the binoculars that I requested. I take them and immediately use them to see what that LED sign above says. It reads, "Exit." My heart sinks. That is our way out. My brother and wife look at me and instantly know what I am thinking. To escape, we will have to play death's game and collect enough coins to use the items behind the glass. The only way we can get out is with the help of that giant monster out at sea. Thank you for listening to tonight's episode. Please leave a comment and check out our social media on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We would love to hear your thoughts of tonight's episode. I'm your host, Zach Miller, and thanks for listening. Have a good midnight slumber.